All right, we are going to review my trades from today's futures trading session. Like all you guys know, by the way, still sick, so there might be some coughing. Like all you guys know, there's still trading the second hour of market open, which has been the worst, but it's been getting a little bit better. We did okay. I didn't do terrible. It's just kind of a lack of stuff. So it's pretty much where we started. The market's been going straight up, okay? And I can't really work with that. It means it's due for consolidation. So it's a bit too high up to go long. It's too strong of a trend to step in front of the train and go short. And it's pretty likely to consolidate at some point. I don't have any nearby PTs or anything except this pivot on ES, which is still about 20 points away. So that's still really far away. But at this point, I'm starting to think about potentially entering long. We did get a volume spike on this candle. Could be a reversal signal. And we put in like a baby shooting star here on NQ. So was thinking about going long on NQ. If it pops up here, I was really considering going long, but this candle closed. It first off, it not only swept the new high of day, but it closed with a selling wick, so it delayed my hand. I was really probably going to enter long on the candle if that didn't happen. Thank the Lord I did because this drop happened. Clearly, ES is weaker than the NASDAQ. And I get two really small candles like this. Now, I usually don't take a trade like this, but it was at the start of the next candle, it was a very, very small green candle, which looked like following three methods. And I had a decent tiny little pivot right here. ES was weaker than NQ, and with NQ sweeping this high of day and then getting this rejection, I didn't think it was unlikely for us to at least pull back to this low on NQ, which is pretty close. And with ES being weaker than NQ, I'm like, okay, well, if I think NQ is probably going to get a lower low, maybe consolidate and then go up, well, ES should be able to get to this level. So this was the first trade that I took. And I just put the PT right there. And I had a really tight stop loss. I mean, my stop loss was right here. So really tight stop loss. And I usually don't take a trade like this. I didn't really like it, but there were enough reasons for it to go down that it was an acceptable trade. I didn't really have much else to work with, and it hit. It hit perfectly. So we started out with a nice win, and then we really started dumping. Now, keep in mind, I wasn't really bearish for the trend to reverse. I was just leaning temporarily bearish for some kind of consolidation or pullback. Well, now with this starting to really dump, it's starting to look like a reversal. The problem is I can't really chase short. I need some kind of consolidation. I need a balance. And most importantly, I don't have PTs anywhere near. Now, if I took a similar trade that I took like 2 days ago, I could have entered short on that previous candle because it broke the 38.2% fib, which means I could have entered a continuation trade to the 61.8. But honestly, I didn't even really think about entering that trade. I did, I just took profits on a short trade. It's continuing down. What I do know is that I have really nice pivots here on ES and also on NQ as well. And with ES being weaker than NQ, I'm like, okay, well, right now we're in no man's land. We are in no man's land. Look at the volume profile. Very low liquidity here. I don't know what's going to happen. Have no idea what's going to happen. So this box is no man's land. If I come back up to here, I can go long for new high of day. If I drop to right around down here, I can go short for these pivots. So that's what I'm looking for. However, on the market, it looks like a potential head and shoulders. And I told you guys I wouldn't be super surprised if we dropped and then bounced and then continue down. So I wasn't really looking to go short down here unless I got a very bearish momentum candle to where I have to get in, right? So we got a huge bearish momentum candle, but it was still really far away from my PT. Really far away. Would be the furthest trade I've taken in a while. So very far away from my PT. It got a very small buying wick, and it got a big volume spike, potentially indicating reversal. And because it's so far away, frankly, it's still a good risk to decent risk reward, but look how far away my stop loss would be. I mean, I'm not full size, I'm trading half size, but uh my stop loss on this trade would equal a little less than 2 green trades. So it's not so much that the PT is too far away, it's that I'm not willing to stop out for that much at this moment. If that makes sense. Type in chat if that makes sense. It's just too far. And even with this stop loss here, this isn't even a great stop loss. Like, there's nothing telling me that if price action gets here, it's going to get higher. I usually put my stop losses in a place where I'm like, okay, well, if it gets to my stop loss, I put it there because price action is likely to continue beyond my stop loss to a certain point. I don't have that. ES can easily just bounce, whoop, and then go right down. Right? Now, if I put the stop loss right around here, well, okay, now, if ES invalidates most of this red candle, I can at least anticipate that it's going to get up here. Except that's way too far away. So I sat out. Now, this is starting to look okay. I said, okay, even though the stop loss is a bit far away, if we get a red candle invalidating this green candle, I can enter short. And I'm hoping that's bearish consolidation now. It's still PT's still pretty far away, but I'm willing to work with this. Crazier risk reward than usual. But keep in mind, if we drop really hard down to here, well, I'm gonna kind of have to enter because I'm bearish for these pivots to hit. So we start bouncing. I'm getting ready to enter short, and unfortunately, we get a massive candle. I did want to fill up here. I really did. But as you guys know, according to my rules, I wait for the last 10 seconds of the candle to fill a trade. It helps me more times than it hurts me, statistically speaking. That's why it's a rule. But this time it hurt me, right? Unfortunately, I'm still confirmed into the trade, though. I still am. And ES is still weaker than NQ. It's still very likely to get to my pivot. So I ended up filling the trade right here. And it's still a decent distance away. But in this case, I actually put my PT right here. Sorry, my stop loss right there. Not nearly as far as the last trade, but I'm still confirmed in. I just didn't want to have this average. Like, I wanted it to consolidate and then I enter. I wanted to enter up here, but the candle closed with that massive drop happened before I can fill. But I mean, it's still a valid trade. It's still very likely to hit. It's just I don't really like the average. I don't really like that it hasn't bounced yet. And sure enough, it starts bouncing, and I stop out of the trade. Now, I put my stop loss here because I was bullish for it to get to here. So I'm hoping that it gets to there after my stop loss, because if it gets to there and sweeps this sell side liquidity and then comes back down, when I re-enter shorts, because I know I'm probably going to re-enter shorts, it'll be a very likely trade to play out. If it misses that, here's the problem. If it misses this level, then I'm going to have to re-enter regardless because I'm confirmed in, and the trade isn't going to be that much more likely to play out. Pretty much the same. And I don't like re-entering trades if it's not more likely the second time. So that's what I was hoping for. So I took a loss there, gave back most of my profits, and sure enough, I get a candle that invalidated, well, at the time of entry. This buying week only showed up in like the last second, but it invalidated a majority of the bounce. I'm confirmed in, and unfortunately, it missed it. I did put my stop loss really tight, though. I think it was like right here, really tight on this one because, like I said, if it gets up to here, there's no way it doesn't clear that blue line. There is a way, but it's very unlikely. Started off green for a little bit, but got lower lows with buying wicks, unfortunately, and I ended up stopping out for my second loss, flipping me slightly red on the day. I'm like, all right, I'll give this setup one more attempt. If we sweep the high and come back down, I'll give this setup one more attempt. I do have a 3 strikes and you're out rule. And, it's hard for me to not be bearish as well. I forgot to mention this, but we also have this perfect trend line here. Usually when you see trend lines this nice, they do break fairly quickly. NQ also had a pretty decent trend line. NQ also looked like a rising wedge. And this looks like head and shoulders. Pretty hard for me to not be bearish. But as hard as it is, still honor my stop losses. And at this point, we're pretty much 25 minutes into this session, which is not too bad at all. But then we start going up. I'm like, well, it could go back down. But the way this, first off, if we look at the volume here on NQ, look at the massive size of the candle, look at how much volume there is. There isn't much volume. ES has a bit more. But the way this broke out of this rising wedge indicates to me, oh my gosh, we might go all the way back to high of day. I mean, think about it. As you guys know, if a majority of a move is invalidated, price action has a tendency of chasing the nearest point of liquidity, which is here. That's why I was so bearish for it to get there. Well, now, technically, NQ's invalidated a majority of the drop. The nearest point of major liquidity, even minor liquidity to be frank, is high of day. So now, by default, I'm bullish for NQ to get high day. Now, does that mean I'm just going to enter a trade right here that's super far away? No, that's not my style of trading. I take trades that have a high probability of playing out, usually. That's not high enough for me, especially with this potential head and shoulder still here. However, it became clear to me that NQ was stronger than ES, and what I was looking for personally, because PT was so far away, I wanted it to break above the 61.8% retracement. That's the retracement most likely to break it. Well, it did here. It did break that retracement. ES was not yet at its retracement, but I believe I tried to fill longs on this candle. I tried to fill longs roughly right here because you know what? It broke above the 61.8 retracement. ES isn't chopping up or anything, so I don't really have valid reason to suspect that ES is likely to reject its 61.8 retracement. So I put an order right here. It doesn't fill, but I put it right here, and it fills on the next candle. I think I actually filled like right here. Whatever it was. I don't know. So I filled on it because NQ was stronger than ES, and here's the thing for me. By the time it got to here, I'm bullish because, like I said, if it invalidates most of this major red candle, I'm bullish for it to at least hit the peak of the red candle. Uh, and by the time it gets to there, I'm going to be bullish for high of day. So it's a lot riskier to enter as early as I did, but I did so with good reason. Now, as far as the stop loss, I didn't have a great point to put the stop loss. I didn't end up using any major fibs or anything. I pretty much just put the stop loss right here. This is the exact place I put the stop loss. I think I filled somewhere. I think I filled a little bit higher, actually, like right here. Yep. So I put the stop loss here, just pretty much at the halfway point of this big green candle. We had some minor hesitation right here. So we had a little bit of liquidity build up there. So I'm thinking, okay, well, if it pulls back, it's likely to sweep. But I'm not willing to put my stop loss super far away, guys. The biggest loss you'll see me take is about this. 90 ticks on NQ is pretty much the biggest loss you'll see me take. Right? Because on average, the biggest win I take is around 500 ticks, or sorry, 100 ticks on NQ. This is way above average trade, but the risk reward just makes sense. And again, it's not so much am I willing to take a huge profit, am I willing to accept the loss that this trade set up? I'm not willing to accept a loss much lower than this. And yeah, I could put my stop loss down here, and down here is a better stop loss, and it makes a trade way more likely to play out because not only does it give it plenty of room, but if it does drop to here, well, I'm going to assume it's probably going to head all the way back down. But I'm not willing to take that loss. And if I do take that loss, I'm at too big of a risk of my psychology deteriorating, and then my accounts are at risk. I could double down. I could try to revenge trade it, whatever it is subconsciously. It's going to be hard for me to walk away with that big of a loss. So I put my loss to where I'm willing to accept it. And essentially, I just want this thing to be able to hold the 38.2% retracement. I want it to hold its uptrend. That's it. So start off terrible right out the gate. I'm like, oof, I do not have much hope in it. But it was clear NQ was still stronger. Well, ES flipped a little bit stronger right there. However, this was scary. ES rejected the 61.8. Now, it wasn't a very clear rejection. Still broke a little bit above it, but it's not looking good for this trade. I was convinced it was probably going to stop out, but I'm going to let the trade run its course. And this happened. Wow. We are putting in a cup and handle. Now, the nice thing about this, what was really nice here is not only did I luck out and it barely missed my stop loss, but also the way it just popped back up was really nice because I took a risk entering as early as I did. Okay? And with it popping up the way it's popping up right now, I know how I trade. I know my strategy. I know that if I wasn't in this long, I would be getting in this long right now at pretty much the same average, which is nice because no matter what, I would have ended, if this does hit my stop loss, I would have lost on it anyways. Even if I didn't take that riskier early entry, because I would be entering right here no matter what. My stop loss would be a bit tighter though. And when it did pop up like this, I did end up moving my stop loss a bit tighter. Like I said, in my mind, with this major low and with the way it's running right now and then keeps flipping strong, if it did come all the way back down here, by the time it invalidated pretty much this entire move, there's no way it's not getting a bit lower. So that's why I moved my stop loss where I did, a bit higher. And it was looking great. Wow, we're actually finally getting lucky again. You know, leading up to the election, I haven't been getting lucky at all on this during the second hour of price action. I haven't been getting lucky at all. The last really good day I had was the 23rd of October, and I wasn't even lucky for it. Just price action, just I didn't get super lucky. I didn't have trades go from nearly stopping me out all the way to green. I didn't have any of that. Price action was just easily readable and just conformed to my strategy. It wasn't even a lucky day. I don't know when the last lucky day I had was. This was the first major lucky break in a while. Yesterday I had a lucky trade. It barely missed stop loss and went into PT, but then I had a trade right after that literally missed PT by 1 point and shot all the way back up to my stop loss. It was a short trade, so that wasn't even a lucky time. This was finally a lucky trade. So it was looking really good, and we barely missed it. And right around here, I asked you guys in chat, because I know what I'm feeling, except my discipline is above, I would say, the average. I asked you guys to type in chat, how many of you guys are starting to have a real fear of giving back your profits kick in? You've come all this way. You've barely missed your stop loss. You've come all the way up to PT, which was really far away for my average trade, at least the way I trade. And now it's coming all the way back down. And pretty much everyone said, yeah, I'm feeling that. So I told you guys to document that meticulously. Document the feeling you're feeling and document the situation. What's causing that? Because the feeling that you're feeling right now is now you're starting to become unaccepting of your outcomes. At this point, watching this trade go all the way up after nearly stopping out, barely miss your PT, and now it's dumping again. Now the fear is starting to set in of the possible reality that, wow, you can stop out of this trade and your day's going to look a lot different because that would have been a big green trade instead turning into a red trade. That drastically affects your P&L. So I told you guys to document that and notice that if I stop out of this trade, by the way, this was my last trade. I'm pretty much out of time to have 10 more minutes, right, for the hour. Try to take 6 trades or just the hour, whichever comes first, to prevent psychological deterioration. But I told you guys to document it and notice that, hey, if we stop out, a lot of you guys are going to be willing to blow your accounts. You're not going to want to stop out. Some of you guys are going to remove your stop loss. Some of you guys are going to average down. Some of you guys are going to hit the reversal button and try to make it back. Regardless of what you end up doing, it's caused by being unable to accept your outcomes. So notice your weakness right now. Document that weakness. Document the circumstances that are causing that weakness and force yourself to stop trading after this trade happens, especially if it hits your stop loss, to prevent your futures accounts from being exposed to the risk of blowing up or taking major loss on your options portfolios. So I told you guys to do that. It's very important you document the circumstance as well, because then you become hyper aware of, okay, I know that if I enter a trade and it goes all the way up to my PT and then comes all the way back down and stops me out when I was very confident it was going to hit PT, my hopes got built up, and it missed my PT and come all the way down to stop loss. I know that when that happens, I am at risk and I'm exposed to the risk of blowing my accounts because my psychology is deteriorated, especially if I've already been trading for a couple of hours to where it's naturally deteriorated anyways. And especially if I've committed to this being my last trade. No one wants to end their day on a trade like this. So you must document it. And next time you experience this circumstance, it's your odds of giving in to the temptations of revenge trading, averaging down, not accepting loss, all those things. Your odds of actually falling into that are much lower because you were aware of it in the beginning. Those emotions didn't take you by surprise. You knew you were weak if this circumstance happened. Okay? You knew there was a possibility of you blowing your account, but you know what? Last time you followed Bryce's non-financial, of course, advice, and you just took it like a champ, stopped trading, and allowed yourself to live to fight another day. And you know what? 2 days later, you forgot this even happened. Your account went all the way back up. Wasn't a big deal. And because you allowed yourself to experience that huge temptation, but you gave yourself the opportunity to not give in and gave yourself the opportunity to make that money back naturally and properly with proper discipline, and your account went all the way back up because of it. Now, what do you think next time your likelihood of blowing up your account if this happens again? It's going to be a lot lower because you've already dealt with this before. You've dealt with these emotions. You've dealt with the terrible result of it barely missing your PT and hitting your stop loss. And you've also experienced rebounding that account all the way back up by having perfect psychology and not allowing yourself to be exposed to terrible psychological deterioration and not allowing your accounts to be exposed to blowing up. And because you did that last time and it was successful, your chances of doing that again are exponentially higher. And if, of course, there's a chance that you could blow the account anyways just because you get hit with 6 red days in a row. Oh well. Then you got to look at your TA. But if you allow yourself to experience that same process again and it works out in your favor, then the next time you're very tempted due to one of these circumstances, you're very psychologically deteriorated, you're very upset, you're very mad at losing 4 times in a row, you're going to remember the last 2 times you felt like this. You all know what it feels like when you're getting ready to blow your accounts and lose a bunch of money on options. You know what it feels like. You guys know when you're about to do it and you do it anyways. And because you experienced that same thing the last couple of times and you came out victorious due to being disciplined, you're even more likely to be disciplined again. And then the next time, and then the next time. And then you get to the point eventually to where all hell can break loose in your trading. You can go through 4 days in a row of losing every single trade and you still won't blow your account over it. You'll still honor your stop loss even after the 18th loss in a row. Because that's how disciplined you are as a trader. And when you get to that point, it will become statistically and probabilistically impossible for you to not be profitable every single month, every single year, because you can't get shaken. So that's what we're doing. But in order to get to that point to where you just no longer blow accounts ever, you have to go through these experiences. You have to make the correct decision and give yourself the chance to make all the money back and come out victorious, so that next time you experience this, you're less likely to give in to your temptations of doing things you're not supposed to do. And like I said, if you don't give in and your account blows anyways because you end up losing a bunch of times after over the next days, oh well. Even if you made your money back today, you would have blown your accounts tomorrow and the next day because you've not only gave into the temptation and reinforced bad psychology, but you did exactly that. You reinforced bad psychology. So next time it's hard because you gave in this time and you broke your rules and you were rewarded by it P&L wise and you made money from doing it. It's going to be impossible for you to not break your rules, expose your account to blowing up, and doing the same thing next time you're emotionally upset, statistically guaranteeing your account blows up. So it's so important that you give yourself the opportunity just to be disciplined and see if your account rebounds as a result of being disciplined. Because it's going to blow up no matter what. No matter what you do, it's going to blow up if you don't make the right decision. But one is a super short-term picture where you're tunnel visioned on now, and one is a very large, you're focusing on the big picture only. You have a very wide scope on the future of your career, and that's what you're pursuing. Type in chat. Does that make sense? Type in chat. Does that make sense for all of you guys psychologically? I didn't really think I was going to go into a bigger psychological lesson there, but this was such a good example today. Because I know I was not wanting to take a loss on this trade, and seeing all the chat just get flooded when I asked that question. Yes, I'm terrified. It's important that we touch on that. Does that make sense though? Like, even if you accept your outcomes and the account blows up anyways, oh well, it would have blown up anyways. But give yourself the chance to be disciplined. Take it like a champ. Close your computer, live to fight another day, and just be exposed to the chance that your account goes all the way back up. Because if that happens, you're going to be in a way better spot next time your psychology's deteriorated. And if you rebound from that, you'll be in a way better spot next time. And then next time, and then next time, and then you'll become unbreakable as a trader. And that's when you start making great strides, P&L wise. That's when you can think about trading full time. But all right, Rakai. He asked, so we are statistically guaranteed to be profitable if we stop out where we're supposed to. Yes, if your strategy is profitable, yeah, absolutely. You need to go through the Mark Douglas series in the Trading Psychology channel if you haven't already. Rakai, type in chat if you haven't. That'll explain it. Like I've always told you guys, profitable trading, well, trading is gambling. There's no way to know what happens next. Most traders gamble as if they're a gambler at a casino, right? You're a consumer. But once you have a half decent strategy and flawless psychology to where you can get hammered 20 times in a row and you stop out every single time, then you become a gambler, but you're gambling as the casino to where you may go on losing streaks, but because the odds are tipped in your favor over a large series of events, it is impossible for you to not be profitable, just like a casino. The casino has no idea whether the roulette ball is going to land on red or black, so they're gambling on each hand. But because they continue spinning no matter what, because they don't switch anything up that's going to tip the odds out of their favor, they will always be profitable, statistically guaranteed over a large series of events. And that's what we replicate as traders. So, yes, you are statistically guaranteed to be consistently profitable if you even have a half decent strategy. I'm talking 55% win rate and 1.0 risk to reward, and your psychology is flawless, statistically guaranteed. But all right. Anyways, the market just decided to terrify us, and it actually went back up to PT. And that was the end of my day. Finished 3 minutes before the hour was up. Now I had two red trades, two green trades, but because of our risk to reward and frankly the psychology, I was up by one trade. So unfortunately, I haven't had a big green day in a while. Haven't really had a big red day in a while either. Tuesday should have been a little bit of a bigger red day, but I came back to the market even though I wasn't really supposed to and traded and flipped it green. But this is just kind of how it's been. Very mild green days, mild red days leading up to the election. I'm hoping that we get back to having a lot of big green days where I hit 5 green trades in a row, whatever it is. But lately that just hasn't been the case. But I was happy to walk away green. I'm happy this trade worked out, and our discipline was flawless today. I don't really have an issue with any of the trades. You know, down here, it was just tough decisions. But looking back on it, I don't really regret anything. Each of my trades were backed by decent probabilities, good enough probabilities that warrant me entering the trade, and the stop losses were valid as well. So I don't have any issues with our performance today. We did our job, and yeah, ended up being a green day. Yeah, there are always some smaller. There are smaller ways. Yeah, munchies. All right. Sweet. Well, if you guys have questions, comments, concerns, anything like that, feel free to let me know in chat. This session did go a bit long. Oh my gosh, it went 30 minutes. But I will say, this review was probably very beneficial. I'm glad it's recorded. I will urge everyone to watch this one because just a psychological aspect on this one, it's very important you understand those concepts and reinforce them. It's the only way you're ever going to even have a chance to make it in this business. Nice, Rakai. Hopefully it pays off, dude. But we have one person typing. I'll give them like another 10 seconds before I cut the recording. Yeah, it looks like it's going to be either a long story, the person doesn't know they're typing. All right, well, if that's the case, I'll wrap it up here. Thanks for attending. I know these late night sessions, especially on Fridays, are kind of hard to attend, but your hard work will pay off. And it's pretty clear that you guys are putting a lot of effort into this. You're very committed. And as long as you're practicing correctly, remember, practice does not make perfect, it makes permanence. So as long as you're practicing what you're supposed to be practicing and you have the right goals set up with the right state of mind, you'll continue making progress. All right. I'll see all of you guys later. By later, I mean on Monday. So you guys have a blessed weekend. I'll let you guys know when this recording is done being downloaded. And yeah, we'll be back at it next week. It's going to be interesting. We got elections, interest rates, all kinds of things. So very, very interesting week. Hopefully it's a good one. I'll certainly do my best, though. If you guys need anything, ping me in chat or DM me. And like I said, you guys have a great weekend. I'll let you guys know when this recording's posted.